Hello, and welcome back to the Citadel, a Let's Play series where myself and friends do geeky stuff in Minecraft. My name is Joel Duggan, and today we are currently on our way over to the Iron Farm to take a look at some of the things that might have changed over there with the 1.13.1 update. But while we're on our way, there is something I did want to mention. I haven't released a Let's Play video in a couple of weeks, and it is because I have a new project that I've been working on with our friend Pixlriffs. You probably know Pixlriffs. If you found my channel, then more than likely you found Pixlriffs first. He's been doing this a lot longer than I have. But we have started a podcast all about Minecraft, and it's called The Spawn Chunks. You can find it at thespawnchunks.com, and you can also listen to it on iTunes and Google Play, Android. I believe we have it up on Stitcher now. All of it should be just searching for The Spawn Chunks in your favorite podcast app, and that will get you the episode. We just finished episode 3, I think, earlier this week. So we've got quite a few episodes out there to listen. And man, if you're enjoying that podcast, if you have listened already, or if you are currently looking for something to listen to while you're, enjoying the grind that is Minecraft and mining and doing all that kind of stuff, then please leave us a review on either iTunes or your store of choice, because it'll go a long way, I think, to help the podcast reach some new listeners. But we are over here at the Iron Farm now. And the reason why I wanted to come over here is because earlier in this series, we discovered with the update to 1.13 that this broke. Iron golems were able to spawn on anything, including air blocks, within the radius of the village. So technically the radius of the village is 16 blocks, that's the diameter. This is 10 is the diameter of this spawning platforms inside. They're covered by water, but that's essentially where the golems can spawn. And what were happening, we were getting golems that were spawning in the air here and then dropping down. There was lots of them, but they weren't dying because they weren't being captured into the lava trap. This is now fixed. We didn't have to do anything. We temporarily disabled the farm just because it was causing some problems in terms of lag and that sort of thing. But what has happened with the 1.13.1 update, I'm not sure why I'm calling it 1.3 or 1.13. It's just 1.13, the update aquatic. Point 1, the latest update came out, and it fixed that problem with iron golems. I did a test the other day. I put a couple of poppies in this chest here for markers, and since then we've got a stack and a half of iron. And I'm not even entirely sure that this is operating at full capacity, but it certainly does us for our needs here on the server. As you can see, we've got a whole double chest plus some here on the server. So I'm really happy about that. I'm happy that I didn't have to change this. The solution that we were looking at was changing this from a 10 wide build to a 16 wide build, and it just gets really odd looking. It's a really nice aesthetic build right now, and I didn't want to change that too much. So I'm happy that I didn't have to do anything. That's all taken care of. But one of the things that I wanted to work on this week on, I believe it was the most recent episode of the Spawn Chunks, on episode 3, I was talking about something that had inspired me to make a build here on the Citadel, and it is a Lego build on Lego Ideas. And I believe, if I'm getting this wrong, you can always check the spawnchunks.com to find a link and an image of the building that I'm going to make. But it's from Socks 9000 on Lego Ideas, and it is an inn on a bridge, and it's a really neat kind of balancing act with a inn that's balancing on a bridge as it goes across kind of I guess a river, or could be like a cliff or a chasm or something. It looks like the sun's going down, so we might as well fly out there just to kind of see if we can take a look at where I want to place this. So there's a couple of things that are going to have to happen before we actually build the inn. First off, I think I'm going to take this wheat field and I'm going to extend it out this way. So if we take a look up here, or if we can get up here to take a look, this line right there, I think, is what I'm going to expand the wheat field to encompass, because what's going to happen is, as we're walking over here, instead of this path kind of meandering into the nether portal here, I'm going to have this path shoot off and head down towards the bridge and the inn. And the area that I decided to put it in is right here, straight at this tree. I'm going to bridge this river. I'm going to connect it here, kind of make it look all nice and pretty. And we're going to build the inn and the bridge kind of right here. And I think it's going to be a really nice spot to cross this river and continue on south, rather than having to jump over these hills and deal with all that. So I'm going to go sleep for a second before it gets too dark, and then we're going to take a look at what we need to do. All right, so now that we've slept and we can see what we're doing, I'm going to head over these little bridges here. This is probably one of my favorite little builds that I've got on the server. But we're going to head back up to that point where the wheat field ends, and we're going to take a look at where we want to expand it. And we're going to start to put in some of the plans for the bridge. So I think naturally, as you're walking along this path, when I plan paths, I like to just kind of like run the route a couple of times just to kind of see where I end up. So if I'm running along here and the bridge is going to be over there, I'm thinking somewhere's around, unfortunately right here where this torch is kind of like where my brain says, Joel, turn right and head over towards the end of the bridge. The bridge is, I want to say, 5 or 7 wide. No, actually it's 9 wide. The road is 5. Oh, I lost my shears. The road is 5, but the build itself is 9 wide. We're going to use some of this grass later. That's why I'm not just punching it all away. So we clear a little spot here to kind of get a good clean look. It's also 29 long. So this is roughly, where are we standing here? We are standing at, I think it's 293, 294. And if we head over there, I don't have any ender pearls on me, so we'll have to just jump. So 294, fly up here for a second. Way too far, but that's fine. It was this tree here that we're looking at, this guy. So now we're at 322. So 324 puts the end of the bridge about here. So that's about right. Like that's about where we want that crossing to happen. And we've got a lot of really cool landscape to work with, so I'm happy about that. But I'm going to go ahead and guess that this tree and this torch, roadside torch build have to go because they're going to be in the way of what I want to do. So let's just, you know what? Let's just take all this down real quick. Still one of the most satisfying things you can do is take out a bunch of bushes with some shears. So yeah, so now that we've got all that out of the way, I feel like if we come at this way and we're turning, I want to say, but yeah, it's right about here. If I want the edge of the bridge to be, say, like right, if that's the center, say that's the center. So let's just go with that one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. So if this is the bridge approach, let's just put this in here for now. Oh, that's only 3 wide. I need it to be 5 wide. That and that. Grab this out of there. There. Whoa, that's my shulker box. I want that back. Stone. Man, I'm having a hard time placing blocks today. So if that is the bridge in the beginning of it, this is also going to be a good gauge as to whether that's going to be too far south or just right. So we're coming up here, and I like that angle. I like the way that looks, and I think that this path, we're going to maybe widen this a little bit, but then this is a good way to kind of come at that bridge that way. I think that I got that lined up right. So I don't think that necessarily has to move north or south, which is this direction. North and south is that way. And then east and west, we might want to push it just a little bit more out over the river. It really depends on where the center of it's going to be. But essentially, you know, moving the path and getting things going is where I wanted to start. So we can just take a look at kind of where this path is going to take us. And I think the best thing to do is just to start roughly plotting in some path block and see what we can do as far as just like a natural sort of walking route to that bridge approach. Okay, so I've run this a couple of times, and what I like to do when I'm doing pathing is just kind of like take a run at it, go the same route, and just kind of like randomly start hammering out some rough path. So you can kind of get this arc, so you know kind of like where you need to widen it out a little bit, smooth out the edges and stuff. I might actually make this a little bit more rough because the bridge itself is going to be pretty refined. But I think that's probably a decent kind of curve, maybe a little bit more this way. Again, like I said, we're probably going to take out some of that dirt. But if we back up here and then we approach this coming at a run and we decide, nope, I don't want to go through the portal. I want to go this way. This is a nice simple turn to get ourselves lined up to go across the bridge. And the whole time, of course, you're going to be probably looking at the inn because it's a big build. It's going to be up in the sky, probably right here, which is really cool. So that is kind of what I'm looking at for here. The other thing that I wanted to mention today, which is it's kind of a unique thing in terms of the way that I'm approaching these Let's Play videos. I've been recording Let's Play footage for the better part of the year that I've been working and playing on the Citadel, and I haven't published more than just a couple of videos, and those have only been recent. And the reason why is that I was kind of tentative about it. I didn't know whether it was something I was going to be into, whether it was something I was going to be good at. I needed to learn a lot about video editing and posting to YouTube and stuff like that. So one of the things that I thought I would do is play like a little bit of a way back episode. So I've got some work to do on the inn and prepping the approach. But while I do that, I mean, you've seen people do baths before. You've seen people plant wheat before. I thought I would kind of send you back in time and show you some of the earlier builds that we did down in the north section of the meadows, and like go through that sort of process because people haven't seen it. I've recorded the video, but I've never published them. So right now, let's take a look back at one of the very first builds that we did here on the Citadel, and that is the community mineshaft. This guy right there. The reason I'm up here on this bridge is because this is the bridge that takes you to the community mineshaft that I made. And while it's functional, it is not very pretty. So this goes all the way down to the bottom of the world where you do a lot of mining. And it was at one point just one single shaft. I put stairs in to have it be a little bit easier to get up and down, but I thought it would be nice to have it look nice. Consider you spend so much time going up and down and mining in places like this. I thought it would be good to kind of give it a little bit of a sprucing up, if you'll pardon the pun, because you'll notice that there's a lot of spruce wood. And that's because just outside there, we're actually in a spruce wood valley. There's a taiga biome or taiga biome right over there. So we get a lot of wood from there, which is great, but it means that we're just, you know, things are very sprucey. So between the spruce wood, the smooth stone, and I think I'm going to do some recessed lighting along here with maybe some spruce bushes, which I think would be kind of fun, add a little bit of color down here. So I'm not going to do the whole tunnel. I'm going to remove things like the andesite and the granite and replace them with smooth stone. But I have a little bit of a theme going on at the very, very bottom. So if we scooch down here, let's get down here a little bit faster. There is also a cave system down here, which is really cool. So once you get to around here, there's a cave system that kind of branches off another direction that you can go and explore and mine some stuff. You can hear there's zombies mucking around in other places. There's another cave system down the bottom. But down here, at the very, very bottom, we've got smooth stone. And it looks like I must have had some water come down here at some point, and it changed my nice concrete powder into concrete blocks, which doesn't look bad, actually. I still like the concrete powder better, but it's not a disaster. We are going to have to change that out, though. But I've got, you know what? I've got concrete powder on me. So let's do that right now. And the cool thing is, of course, now we have some light gray concrete that we just get to keep. There's a whole mishmash of blocks underneath this just because I was getting rid of a lot of obsidian and a lava lake that was actually right here. This just happened to be where I wanted to place the mine. It's where, you know, made the most sense in terms of just, you know, location. So we had to kind of cover a few things up. Whoops. So this is the kind of spruce wood, smooth stone, not so much the cobble. and stone that we're going to use for the tunnel, the staircase, and every 10 steps or so is where we're going to put stuff in. So you can see I've got a step marked off there, and there's a step marked off here. So we're going to do like kind of a band in each one of these sections. So as you're coming down, it'll look a little bit better. So that is the plan, and we're going to get on with it right now. So I've got the whole shaft now cleared out 3 wide all the way from top down to the very, very bottom. I even have some of the stairs put in. Well, I guess I missed some of the clearing there, but we're almost there. And I also put together what I think I'm going to be using for the decoration. And so every 10 steps, you're going to have something like this. It's not overly fancy, but it's aesthetic. I think once it repeats all the way down, it'll start to look really cool. Once we get rid of these torches on the side, have the smooth stone going all the way down, I think that it'll be a nice way to kind of come into the mine. Unfortunately, I can't use any of the wood or the wood bases or the spruce leaves at the very bottom because there's just so much lava everywhere. When I first set it up, I had lit a couple of my decorations on fire. So not the most practical use of flammable material down by lava. So we'll switch over to something a little bit more, I guess, industrial looking when we get down to the very bottom. But so far, this is the plan. Brain fart. I think that looks much better. But I'm going to need a lot more wood. A lot more wood. So I've got the first set of, I guess, break in the mine done. I'm really happy with the way these look. I think it's going to be really cool. But in order to make them, it's actually pretty straightforward. This is the old one. So this is the old and busted. We're going to go ahead and remove all this stuff. First of all, this needs to get turned into a little wood box. I think it's 3 back. Yeah, no, I was right. So this goes in here. And that goes there. A couple of torches. And then green goes there. Now here is where we've been revising what was fence post up against the stone. And we're changing that to logs. And I think I'm even doing this one. It means I have to use one more log, but I do think it looks a little bit better just because the spruce leaves are transparent, so you can kind of see it through there, which I think works out better. So same idea here. Let's ditch this for a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Whoops. I always find directional blocks really tricky. I have not a hard time, but I have a very interesting time with the new terracotta blocks because they're so directional. There's multiple ways that you can place those. And grab our fence posts and throw these in there. They're not perfect. They kind of twist around and point in different directions, but it kind of keeps it interesting as opposed to just being completely geometrical. But that's one, and then I just have to repeat that on this side, and then another 6 or 7 pairs all the way down. Well, let me see. We've done 1, 2, so there'd be 5 more pairs, including the landing down there. So I'm gonna get on with that, and I will update you guys when it's all finished. I'm a little over halfway done, and I've run out of wood again. I guess the whole plan for a tree farm would have been good to do before I decided to coat an entire mine shaft in spruce wood. I have a small farm over there, but it's not anything crazy. And I'm starting to feel the need for something a little bit crazier. I'm gonna have to look up some plans because I don't want to do like a big redstone tree farm, but I would like to know like the most efficient way to grow some trees. I was spoiled in one of my other single player worlds in that I had a roofed forest nearby, so I had the ability to plant and grow dark oak. And if you have like 4 dark oak trees, by the time they grow, you get like 3 to 4.5 stacks of logs out of that. Whereas these guys, they are not growing quite as quick as I thought. I picked up this pattern online from a video that I watched on YouTube, but it doesn't seem to be doing quite as well as I hoped. I'm also wondering if this is just not loaded while I'm over there in the mine. It might be just a little bit too far away. But right now, there's not a whole lot going on. I have to go into the woods, I guess, to get more of these trees. I have lots of saplings, so I could easily plant a lot more. And I'd like to think about something that would collect the saplings and whatnot. But like this, only about half of them grow. So these ones in the middle are kind of useless. The only reason I've kept them is because when these have grown and I chop them down, sometimes while I'm here, these middle ones will just pop right up while I'm here. So I'm still trying to figure out the best way to do this. I've got my wheat farm and sugarcane farm are going like crazy, and they're just little plots. Like it's just something that you kind of harvest every time you walk by. But this is taking a lot longer, and I just don't know what the best spacing is. The dark oak I could put every 4 blocks. Whoa! Speaking of the devil, I just got clocked by a tree growing underneath me, as if the world said, "Joel, I know you need wood. Here, have some." Aggressively, but I will take it. I've always got sometimes I gotta jump for this last little one. So I forgot you could do this and make super spruce or redwoods, or I don't know exactly what they call them in the game. I think they're just large spruce trees. But hopefully, once all this stuff clears out, this will grow up and I will just have to harvest 1 or 2 of these. It's weird in Minecraft. I don't like deforesting the land. I try to replant just as quickly as I chop things down. Because there's just something really cool about the natural way that Minecraft populates trees and how the forests look. And if I chop, I don't usually chop at the edge of the forest. I'm doing this quickly here because this is the kind of the plantation that I started. But when I'm just cutting into a forest, I generally pop in like 3 or 4 trees before I start cutting the things down, just because I don't want to ruin the view. It's very green of me, I guess, even though it's completely pointless and I can just grow more trees. But anyway, hopefully that big one over there is going to grow soon. Sweet. So now I guess it's just a matter of going through and getting rid of some of these blocks that I don't like and putting in the smooth stone to replace them. A little tedious, but I find it looks really, really good in the end. And with these last few blocks, I think we are finally finished. Just gonna take out these cobblestone here, replace those. Yeah. I mean, obviously these mine shafts are going to be whatever they're going to end up being, because you're going to go through all kinds of stuff. But I think on the surface here, we've got this sorted out. You can see that it's a little dark. We got mine caves off to the left and right on this particular platform. There's water somewhere. I can hear it, and I can hear zombies bouncing around in it. So there's obviously another cave off in this direction somewhere. But as we go back up, we'll go through the different sections, which I think looks really cool. Even got some different stairs here, you know, on the edges where we come up to the concrete. Everything's kind of all singing together, as it were. So the last thing to do is, of course, we've got this bridge, and then we've got this piddly little thing. And it does not quite stand up to the thing that we've designed down the bottom. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this the same treatment as I did the larger spaces. And that is I'm going to chop these out. And then I'm going to replace them with something a little bit more substantial. Maybe have a crossbeam going across there and have it look more official. So I'll get that done, and then we will call it a day. And just like that, I am going to call the Dartmouth Meadow Community Mine complete. So while you were down in the mine with past Joel, present Joel was down at the other end of the meadows working on the wheat farm. And I'm going to stop talking in the third person immediately because I think it's kind of weird. While we're on our way down to the South Meadows, if you have any comments or feedback on inserting these older clips of my builds in the Meadows into the current series, let me know. I'd love to hear what you guys think about it. Also, just keep in mind that they were recorded about a year ago. So my Minecraft knowledge back then, as well as just my overall recording capabilities and I guess practice in making Let's Plays was not quite what it is right now. So keep that in mind. But if you have some things to say about me putting in older builds, then let me know. But as we're coming up over the hill here, you'll see that I've completed the wheat farm. We did this on a stream on Twitch. I think it was just the other day. But right away, it really does look a lot better coming up this path. I find it more full. I like the way that it's framed. Everything is looking much, much nicer. I do want to do something along here. I find that this is a very straight line. I might maybe push the path out a couple of blocks. I might try to put in a couple of bushes or something. I didn't want to block the view of this really big stack of hay or hay blocks. I do like that, but this is a really poker straight line. And I want to kind of mess with that a little bit. We have a little bit more of the path going. We have the wheat going all the way to the edge here. This is just temporary because I'm not really sure how we're going to decorate the approach. I've got a funny feeling that this side is going to be dictated by the look and feel of the bridge once we actually start to get the railings in and how the bridge kind of like attaches to the landscape here. So I don't want to get overboard with decorating the edge of the path. The path may even shift a couple of blocks depending on how this bridge feels when I start to put it in. Unfortunately, all of that is going to happen in another video. That's all the time that I have for today. But if you've enjoyed this episode, then please leave a like below. Subscribe if you're new. It's probably the best way to get notifications when I post new videos. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, Pixlriffs and I have started this new podcast called The Spawn Chunks. And so far, the reception has been really positive, which we really appreciate. Other people seem to like it, so my guess is that you will too. You can find it at thespawnchunks.com. You can also search for The Spawn Chunks on your favorite podcast app. Until then, my name is Joel Duggan, and I will see you next time.